Welcome, dear friends, to Cardiac Radio at 11 p.m., nourishing our souls with the laws of love. A book that shows to us, through Emmanuel, the author, and the mediums, Waldo, Vieira, and Chico Xavier, a new understanding on suffering. A new understanding that brings to us hope, courage, much faith, and joy of living. We have already studied chapter 1. The book contains 8 chapters. Chapter 1 is titled Spiritual Causes of Illnesses. Chapter 7, which we studied next, we skipped a few. Chapter 7, Treatment of Illnesses and Spiritism. And now we go to chapter 5, about obsessions. Because right now, during this pandemic, there's a collective obsession going on. When we are all truly negative, like many people are in the world, we are under obsession. But it's not only about the pandemic, it's way before the pandemic. The pandemic is helping us get out of this obsession. So now we're going to study a few questions from this chapter. This chapter 5 has 20 questions and answers. We'll go little by little, question by question, with you, so we can more deeply understand about obsession. What is obsession? For those who are joining us today, Kardec coined the term obsession in the book, the Medium's book, chapter 23, which is titled Obsession. He was the first one in 1861, when he published the Medium's book, to coin the term obsession per its new definition, which is the persistent negative influence from one mind to another. So now, obsession can be of 3 different types. Simple or common, which is the one we most often feel. I know there is this negative influence. I feel it. Sometimes I fall trap to it. Sometimes I resist it. And it goes. It comes and goes. Simple and common, like many people around the world. But there is the other type, when our way of seeing is impaired because they put lenses on us. Fascination. It's happening around the world when people don't believe in vaccines, for example. When they don't believe in science, this is true fascination. They are being impaired in their clear way of seeing things. And you may be asked, how do you know? Well, as a scientist, we can tell you and everyone that there is an international consensus on the facts of vaccines. But I sound like broken record here, but it's important for all of us to vaccinate, to be immunized. And the third type, there is what we call subjugation or possession. It's when the will of the person is impaired. Cases of addictions, for example, of all sorts, sexual addiction, drug addiction, and then in drug addictions, alcoholic behavior. It's also subjugation. There are people who say, oh, Vanessa, but I drink my wine cup every night and I can't skip. It's just a glass. Okay, so you are an alcoholic. According to science, psychiatry, you are an alcoholic, because if you can't skip a dinner without it, you need it every day. This is called dependency. It's one of the foundational characteristics of addiction. 1. So, on the behind the scenes, Spiritism explains, there is what we call obsession. spirits influencing us negatively, so we destroy ourselves. Suicidal behavior. There is direct suicide, indirect suicide. We need to talk about it with our children, saying there's the law of the mental field. What you think makes you attract. What are you attracting? Oh, grumpy. You're attracting grumpy spirits. You're bored. You're attracting bored spirits. You're bullying. You're attracting bullying spirits. You're loving spirits. We're kind spirits. So with the understanding of obsession, somebody asked Emmanuel in question 1 of this book, Laws of Love, is there a relationship between obsession and mental currents? What are mental currents, right? We think continuously. Think about this thunderbolt. We think continuously and we emit these thoughts. It's mental matter. It's composed of electromagnetic, mental, because it comes from the mind, electric particles that are emitted, and magnetic, they attract like-minded forces. And then as we radiate these frequencies, we connect with like frequencies, forming currents of thought, mental currents, that our dear André Luiz in the book Mechanisms of Mediumship explains to us that these mental currents are nothing less than constructive or destructive. There's no middle term. Either we are constructing or we're destroying. There's no neutral. So is there a relationship between this persistent negative influence and mental currents? What do you think? Type it in. Yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. Yes. He's going to reply, whomever refers to obsession must report to mental currents. Thought is the foundation of everything, he's saying. Thought is the foundation of everything. When we go to the book, Thought and Life by Emmanuel, there's a whole chapter that is 27, obsession. And he says, obsession is an authentic phenomenon of interaction. So when people say, oh, the spirits are obsessing me, no, we are obsessing each other. It's their interaction. There's no victimization. It does not proceed only from the so-called dead to the so-called living. Essentially, it often occurs between incarnate spirits who overpower one another by means of the invisible threads of suggestion. And how does it work? He's going to explain to us. He's going to say, when we think, we create images. And those images, by the principle of repetition, they reach a projection that will be captured by others. So there is no victimization. No. The obsessor and the obsessed begin to live and react reciprocally upon one another. Obsessions are not one-sided. All such situations are process of reciprocal interchange. So, you and I are being called to understand that the mind emits mental images, and those mental images, they help us connect. But if these mental images are not happy mental images, they will connect with minds that are unhappy. So today we have homework to do. To think of which type of mental current we are connecting to. So throughout the next 24 hours, let us observe ourselves. What kinds of thoughts and feelings am I having? Are they thoughts and feelings of constructiveness or destructiveness? Then we're going to get to know who is in our network, our spiritual network. Yes, dear friends, we thank God for the opportunity of knowing this, empowering ourselves, and making sure that we can choose the next thought that we have according to our will to do the good today and always. We thank you, friends, for being here today, and we wish you a beautiful day in the discovery of our mental connections, our mental currents, and hopefully they are constructive and we can choose it more consciously. See you tomorrow here at Kardec Radio, God willing.